The Path of Exile 3.2 content update brought us many changes and a brand new challenge league. So it is time again for a whole flood of league starter build guide videos. If you are sick and tired of the generic, meta-friendly, hardcore viable, cookie cutter builds, then this here is the one for you. Presenting the dual wand elemental hit Elementalist. Utilizing the most overlooked attack skill, untouched since patch 2.0.2, offering the versatility of all the elemental damage types on a random cycle. RNGesus, praise be unto him. Mandatory unique items for this build would be a pair of Piscator's Vigil wands, which offer a great attack speed, increased elemental damage, and quality of life accuracy rating. Since elemental hit does not scale off of weapon damage, the missing physical damage on these wands is no issue at all. Great optional unique items would be Barrack's Grip and the Radiant Dawn to provide a decent amount of leech and overall useful stats. The Taming for an amazing boost of DPS, and a combination of Aber's Unification and Incandescent Heart for a nice little extra chaos damage, and solid defenses if we combine the 20% of elemental damage taken as chaos damage with the Keystone Chaos in Occlusion. As for the rest of the rare equipment, we try to aim at capping the elemental resistances, and for defenses we choose a nice mix of armor and energy shield for
maximum protective value.
Oh yes, and attack speed, flat added damage and weapon elemental damage on gloves and rings would also be a nice extra. Now let's have a look at the skill tree. The revamped Elementalist is our ascendancy of choice to make elemental hit a well-rounded and smooth experience. The first points go into Paragon of Calamity for a nice mix of damage and defenses, and the awesome Reflect Immunity, which allows us to run some otherwise nasty map mods. The next two picks are a bit more tricky. While Shaper of Desolation and Beacon of Ruin might seem nice to have for applying and spreading elemental status effects, this stuff happens anyways and isn't that strong to begin with. Those 2 points can be easily substituted with the Elemental Proliferation support gem. Now Mastermind of Discord would be outright amazing, but is hidden away behind a 50% useless point for elemental hit. While we would definitely miss the reduced mana reservation for the Herald skills, the penetration can easily achieved with the Elemental Weakness Curse. So that leaves us with the Path of the Stone Friends as our only choice. It allows us to call 3 Stone Friends, or even 5, while utilizing the Anima Stone and Primordial Jewels. Enjoy their unparalleled moral support as they blow all kinds of useful buffs up your butthole. Featuring
Frozen Stone Friend, Burning Stone Friend, Permanently Electrocuted Stone Friend. You need help, buddy? That looks painful. And most importantly, Purple Stone Friend.
Well, there's also Jeff, but no one really talks about Jeff. That concludes our 3 Ascendancy nodes.
But what about the last point from the Uber?
Shh. We don't talk about the Uber Lab. Let's instead talk about the skill tree. I'm gonna show you the rough skeleton, which leaves lots of options for customization based on your personal preferences. We begin at the right side of the Witch's starting point, taking all the energy shield, as most other starting points are fairly useless to elemental hit. Work our way up to our first cluster with Wand Slinger, a bit more up and then all the way down to the right. Pick up some extra dexterity because God knows you will need it, and some life and energy shield for defenses. Now we pick the Mind Drinker for some mana sustain. Realize that this is way not enough to sustain our huge mana costs. Contemplate all mistakes and just keep on skilling more into the left area, where we take all the juicy wand damage nodes. Note that Tempest Blast and Full Slide don't actually bring any benefits toward elemental hit. As we go on, we take a bit more mana and life for some sweet quality of life, another big wand circle for some sweet damage, and our best friend Elemental Overload. Continuing towards the starting point of the Templar, we pick another jewel socket, some sweet elemental damage ups, another life node, and some desperately needed accuracy rating. Finished skill trees could look the following: the life-based version, the glass cannon version, and my personal favorite, the energy shield chaos and occlusion double curse version. Of course, all the links to the final skill trees in the description down below. Our skill gem setup should look something like this. On our body armor we put elemental hit linked with greater multiple projectiles, faster attacks or pierce support, and elemental damage with attack support. For bosses we switch out the greater multiple projectiles for either slower projectiles or pierce. If we get our hands on a 5 link, put in damage on full life and basically any gem you fancy, like Innervate or Immolate, or is there another one that ends on 8? Take that one if you find it. Into the main hand wand we put our golems of choice, as they deserve the main spot. You can choose whichever golem you prefer, but keep in mind that having multiple of the same golem does not stack their buff effects. And you should definitely pick the Ice Golem to profit from our sweet freeze immunity granted by our ascendancy. Or this might happen to you. Into the offhand wand we put our mobility skill. I prefer Lightning Warp linked with faster casting and less duration. For maximum quality of life, try to get your hands on 20% quality versions of all these gems, which makes warp ridiculously fast. The 3 remaining 4 links will be used for buffs, defenses and curse application. First, we have our Herald of Thunder linked with curse on hit and elemental weakness curse. If you have skilled into double curse, you can put in another curse of your choice. I recommend Enfeeble for defense, Poacher's Mark for sustain, or Projectile Weakness for more damage. Otherwise, use the free socket to put in Herald of Ice or an aura skill like Wrath or Anger. The second 4 link is another curse on hit setup to more reliably deal with bosses that don't or rarely spawn adds. We link Orb of Storms with curse on hit, elemental weakness and yet another curse of your liking. Or increased critical strike chance for a constant uptime of elemental overload. The last 4 link is a defensive setup consisting of a high level cast when damage taken gem linked with Immortal Call, Molten Shell and increased duration. Trust me, you will need this. As a bit of a bonus, or an absolute must if you've taken the Chaos and Occlusion Keystone, get yourself an unset ring with the mod plus 3 levels to socketed gems and put in Discipline, or a different aura of your choice. Just keep your mana in mind, so you might want to skill into some reduced mana reservation or leave out one of the heralds or auras previously mentioned. Now you might be asking yourself,
How do I level this character?
well, prepare yourself to level as something completely different with an actual viable skill, or grab yourself a couple of friends with tanky high damage meta builds that can carry your sorry butt all the way to level 65. Once you've reached that, you can finally use your Piscator's Vigil wands and enjoy the build. Find yourself struggling with the most basic of endgame content. Clear out tier 1 maps like the Strand in a blast, but then start struggling against some rare mobs and start absolutely falling into a pit of despair once you have to deal with the boss. Watch yourself dying during boss fights. Dying in a breach. And dying to whatever the fuck that just was. This build was designed with the sole purpose of finally using Elemental Hit at least once in your lifetime, so if you feel that kind of hipster, try it out. Thanks for watching my meme build guide for Path of Exile 3.2. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as a small reward for making it this far, you get to listen to me shamelessly self-plugging everything I do. Look down in the description, there's a link to my Twitter, where I announce streams that I do on Twitch TV, and there's also a link to that said Twitch TV channel. Have fun there. Please watch my shit. Goodbye. Get you some... Exactly. Get yourself that.
Sweet, 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 sweet.
In case of incoming damage, press all of them at once. Because who uses flask setups correctly anyways? Keck. The build that will make your mother ashamed of your existence. Wait, I can't say that, can I? That's a bit over the top.